Keep forgetting.
Yeah. I just know you're small.
I'd like to call a work session to order for October 16, 2023. City Clerk, please read the roll call.
Let the record reflect that all members are present.
Thank you. We have one item for discussion tonight. Would like to remind council that staff will be pausing intermittently to answer any questions. We will now hear from Barbara Chappelle, our Water Services Director, about water services provided in South Goodyear. You're up, Barb.
Thank you. Okay, good evening. I already have my introduction, so I won't do that again. Just wanted to call your attention. I have a map up here to show the different, can you not hear me? I'm sorry, is the microphone, do I have to turn it? Oh, okay. Better? I kind of hear myself-ish. I'll try to speak up. I'm usually pretty loud. So, to the north of the city, we have 3 private providers that serve residents in Goodyear. We have the EPCOR Water, we have Arizona Water, and then we have the Liberty Utility Services. The EPCOR service area serves water only, and the city serves sewer in those areas. What you see in blue on the map on the left is where the city of Goodyear provides water and sewer services. And I just wanted to call attention to this Pecos Road alignment. That's pretty much the southern extent of our current service area where we have infrastructure to actually serve. In the 2016 Integrated Water Master Plan, that's about as far south as we planned for services due to the thought was below Pecos would probably be outside the 25-year planning horizon. Since that plan was adopted, we've had several property owners south of Pecos interested in developing in Goodyear, and we've worked through some deal points and some development agreements on a few that were just south of that Pecos Road alignment. But the map on the right, what I'm trying to show here is really how far south the city of Goodyear currently goes. So the area towards the far right side that's not colored at all is the area around Mobile. There are a couple of property owners and projects down there, Amaranth being one in particular, but just so you know, that's kind of the area that we're talking about when we talk about Amaranth. So I went through kind of a thought process on the differences between a private and a public provider, and really just put together a few thoughts and opinions, one being governing body. So oversight of private utilities lies on the Arizona Corporation Commission, where for the private utility, we have you folks, the mayor and council of our city is elected by our residents and our customers that can include rate setting and policy for how the utility moves forward. Jurisdictional boundaries. As we've seen in many of the private utilities on the north side, they don't necessarily, their service area doesn't necessarily coincide with the city's jurisdictional boundaries. So you can have impacts on certain areas that are outside our city limits but served by the same utility. And that can pose some challenges, especially one example recently has been Litchfield Park's issues with Liberty Utilities. They've been undergoing some challenges where it might not have impacted our residents, but it could have been vice versa. Stakeholders. One of the other areas I like to think about is as a public utility, we're beholden to our residents for more than just providing water and sewer services. And so I feel like they're not just customers for us, right? They're really our stakeholders. We're just stewards of their resources. And so for a public utility, I feel like the customer service aspect is a little bit more enhanced. Fire service is another area. Within our city's jurisdictional boundaries, we would provide fire service. When that fire department shows up to a hydrant from a private utility, how do we know if it's working? How do we know if it's at the appropriate pressures? There's a lot better communication across department. When we have a line out of service for maintenance, we notify multiple people, including our fire department, if we're going to put a hydrant out of service for a period of time, and we let them know when it comes back on. That kind of coordination and communication doesn't happen between the private utility. Economic development. Water and sewer services are critical for growing our city, and sometimes there's trade-offs. Those decisions should be on our mayor and council on where we want those trade-offs to lie. Maybe there is a policy or a particular economic development project that we do want to apply additional resources to, and we have the ability to manage those when we have the utility in-house. And then finally, I like to bring up the sustainability aspect. In the city, we're a designated provider. We continuously have to prove a 100-year supply. The majority of the private utilities are groundwater dependent, and as such rely on someone else to replenish groundwater that's been pumped. And we've seen recently that that's not really a sustainable model, and it's caused some challenges in the valley. So those are just some of my thoughts on the subject, but I would really like to hear from the mayor and council on what your thoughts are and potential future policy. Sorry, Wynette, you have something to add?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
I just
Yes, go
May
ahead.
I just want to add that this is a discussion for the council. As we grow, it's important to get policy direction from the council as to should the city be the provider of those services, or are we okay with working with private companies to operate our water or the water and wastewater systems? So, and it's becoming more of a conversation. So seeking policy direction as on this subject.
Okay, thank you. First up, Councilmember Stipp.
Well, that was my first question, is why are we even having this discussion? So, I think without any context, this is a very difficult conversation to even have. Do we want public versus private? I think the very simple answer to a very simple question is, of course we do. We want it to be our water system. However, the challenges of where the water systems currently exist compared to where does the water actually exist are two drastically different questions. We want all the water in our area, for example, but there are areas down in the Estrella Mountain area, not Estrella Mountain Ranch proper, but in Rainbow Valley farther south, that there is no water. And the closest water supply is a public provider, or is a private provider. So how can we just give a blanket public versus private answer to a question that is extremely complicated? I don't know that we should really be looking at that as a wholesale blanket, we will never or we will always. There is always that middle ground, particularly around development in the area that we expect the city to grow exponentially as far as numbers are concerned. I don't think the pace will be as much as it currently is, but if you consider I'm going to say within the Goodyear Water Service area, when we talk about growth, our boxes are, that's a great blue map, but where is the water? Who controls the water? We think we do, but we really don't. Doesn't Estrella Mountain Ranch really control the quantity of that water?
No, actually, Estrella Mountain Ranch has purchased capacity in our system, but that we still own that water and we deliver it to them. We've just had them, they paid up front to secure capacity for their development. And the area in the white, that water still currently belongs to the environment. Most of it that's available for that area is groundwater. Without someone managing and developing additional resources, that area would be a groundwater dependent area.
So if I own land, and let's just say south of Pecos, because I think that's about roughly where Estrella Mountain Ranch ends, plus or minus. If I own land in that particular area and I want to put houses up in there, where am I getting my water from?
You have to apply for an analysis from the state of Arizona, and then when if they recognize the resource, you have to prove what's available under your particular property, and then they will issue a certificate with what they feel is 100% reliable for 100 to support 100 years of that growth. And then once that certificate is issued to the property owner, then you have the water. And you can apply it to the designation, or you could give it to a private provider.
Can I get that water from the city of Goodyear?
Yes.
I could purchase water. We have capacity. We have.
Well, if you wanted to rely on the groundwater that's under your
No,
property.
not that.
Okay.
I'm not interested in doing that. I want water.
You want water? We currently do not have resources set aside for south of Pecos.
So, or west of the city limit right now. So all of this area that we've been talking about in Rainbow Valley, we've got 3 very large parcels that are looking to annex into the city. They are looking for a water supply, and we do not have the ability to provide it for them. Is that correct?
Not today.
So if we are interested in those particular developments coming in, the only way for them to be served with water is through a private provider
No,
or their own water supply.
Well, their certificate, we would apply to put their certificate in our designation and we would provide them the water. So we have our infrastructure right up to the Pecos Road. So from that perspective, if they started up there, that would be the easiest way for us to encompass them in our service area, because we could just extend our system and serve them.
So the old, I'm going to say it was Adaman water that was piped from the north to the south. We entered into multiple agreements, and I'm going to look down to the right of the dais, no offense, but to everybody else that was here in 2011 or 2012. We spent a lot of effort and money to bring water from Adaman Well, which is well north of the city, down to Estrella Mountain Ranch. Is that still in play? How does that?
So we have 3 wells that we lease from the Adaman Irrigation District, and we feed one of our sites, which is located at I-10 and Saraville. So again, it's a system capacity. It enhances the system, but we didn't pipe it all the way down to Estrella. We used our existing infrastructure to get it the rest of the way.
So we brought the
it's
water in and then.
Technically, we have a combined system, and it's all just commingled. So.
You know, I'm interested in what everybody else has to say before I go on any farther, but thanks for
Okay.
answering my questions.
Councilmember Hampton.
Test. Hello. There we go. Make sure it's on. So, no, I appreciate your presentation. So, I mean, obviously we need more information cost-wise and things like that to do cost analysis on private versus public. But big picture, I would prefer to have all south of Goodyear be in our control, especially in light of the north of the freeway with Liberty and some of the issues that they've been having lately. I like to be able to at least control our own destiny if we can. Obviously, we can't do it all at once. I mean, they won't be able to build that. We need to get capacity to these areas. We got to plan for it, and we got to build to provide that water if they become available or when they become online. So so I know it's not going to happen tomorrow, but I understand why we're having this discussion is because of that Amaranth project that's looking to start building, and do we want to be able to provide water to them as they grow or not? So without seeing numbers and what the cost would be, the differences would be, I prefer to have, like I said, a Goodyear water be Goodyear water for the rest of the city. So because we don't know what we're going to annex. We just know we have what we already have right now. We might not annex the 3 projects that Councilman Stibbs talks about, but we do already have this annex, and this is ours. So I'd prefer to be able to provide water into those areas. So that's where I'm at. Thank you.
Councilmember Loretano.
Well, thank you very much for your information on this. I agree with Councilmember Stipp. I think he said it very well, that it's this really a hard conversation to have without specifics. But in general, I have a couple questions and a couple comments. Our 100-year water supply, when we look at the 2 maps, that encompasses Pecos, Pecos North, our 100-year assured water supply, right? So so people know that this is not affecting the people that are here.
Correct.
We've got 100 years. I want to be
Correct.
really clear on that. We're talking about areas that are desert. If there was to be development in those areas and there's groundwater there, are those areas are not in the Phoenix AMA, right?
So they
Or so-
are in, so the Phoenix AMA consists of 7 subbasins, but the governor's announcement in June that stops groundwater dependent growth was only in 3 of those subbasins, and Rainbow Valley was not one of them, which is why I think you guys are going to see a more and more interest in people trying to do projects in Rainbow Valley, because it hasn't been put on the moratorium yet. I think once the state starts to see a lot of this, who knows what happens in the future.
And what about Mobile? Is that area,
It's also in the Rainbow Valley groundwater subbasin. So none of these areas, pretty much Pecos Road is close to that, where the border is. But so all of that in the south is in a different subbasin.
and then if, let's say someone wants to develop that and have the groundwater, and the direction would end up being to use this, have the city be the owner, can they turn over those groundwater rights to the city?
Yes, we would have their certificate recognized in our designation. And then we would develop more diverse portfolios as time went on. We wouldn't want them to be solely on groundwater forever.
Okay, but then we would take over that and we go
Yes,
into
we
our
would.
designation if we're the provider. Yeah, I do appreciate this. I think it's a good conversation. I think it's probably good to start having this conversation now rather than but it is a little hard to have specifics. It's really hard to say numbers and amounts and what's this going to cost. I guess for me, one of the issues I get very concerned when we're leapfrogging. If it's contingent to where the city is and it's easy to hook in, I think that's one example. When we're leapfrogging and either have to build a standalone system or we have to hook it into existing, I think that's where I get kind of concerns on cost to our residents. And I get concerns that people are going to start some of those, we don't want to see those wildcat developments go up where people just do whatever, because we were just talking about this, the under 5 acres, and they start having a little housing development here and a little one there. And in soon time, you don't have water because they're not doing it correctly. I would like obviously more information as we go on with this, and to look at other ways like CFDs, or how to make sure that the development pays for itself that's down there. Because I would have a concern saying, well, we're going to build this whole new plant down there basically for a developer, whereas we'd have to see a way to get paid back in CFDs along those lines, or whatever financial, that's for the financial people to figure out, but some way that we're not bearing the cost for all of these other developments that want to leapfrog outside our development, current development area. So those are kind of my thoughts. If I hear anything else, I'll let you know. So thank you.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Barbara. I think anytime we have a conversation about water is a good conversation. I too had concerns about what we were trying to accomplish today when I had my one-on-one with Wynette, and I was reminded we did have conversations with a developer who was interested in property around Mobile, but the person missing from the table was you. And we had, there was talk, but there we was like, where's our water director to help us balance out? So you list many great advantages for having city-run water. I don't live within the city service group, and my only recourse is a private utility and the Corporation Commission, whereas certainly those in the Goodyear water area are very responsive to citizen user complaints and definitely much better customer service. I guess a greater accountability to users. So if we develop methodically, just straight on down, we will add infrastructure and we'll make sure we have water. The concern is, like Councilmember Loretano said, is somebody wants to leapfrog way beyond. And I think that's what makes it impossible for us to make a blanket statement saying, oh yeah, we'll be sure to do it. We definitely would want to know what the costs are, the cost benefit are there. Looking at the private water companies that service Goodyear, are they required to have the same 100-year supply as we are?
No,
They are not.
no.
So they can develop housing and different things, but they do not have the same requirement.
No, they do not. They are members of the Central Arizona Groundwater Replenishment District. So those homes, people don't notice, but on your property tax, you'll see a CAGRD fee. That pays another entity to replenish water that they pump. They have 3 years to replenish the water that they pump, but they're also looking for resources. So they have leases in some cases. So Liberty leases them the water they recharge from their reclamation facility. But they use their main supply used to be excess Colorado River water, which there is none anymore. So they're kind of they're struggling as well. Okay. So they have replenishment obligations that they're not 100% sure how they'll meet.
Do they have the same level of commitment of recharging water the way that we do?
No.
No. Oh,
No, actually, I believe Liberty's goal would be to install more purple pipe and use reclaimed water for irrigation to take the pressure off of their potable system.
Okay. I seem to recall when we were in the other city hall that there was conversations about having a study done of some of the basins south of Goodyear. Does that ring a bell at all? We weren't sure what was under the ground.
Oh, yeah. So we are looking at that now with our current integrated water master plan study. We're trying to quantify what we think is in that Rainbow Valley subbasin, because we know that some property owners already have certificates. Those certificates add up to about 57,000 acre feet a year. So our goal is to make sure that there's water to meet those certificates before we go and try to accept additional certificates.
Okay, good. And then the last question I have is our surface water plant, are we operating it yet?
Yes,
Very good. So
yes.
we're
It's
no
in
longer have the
operation.
third party.
Has been going on 2 years in December.
Good. Good job. Thank you.
Councilmember Campbell?
So Barb, I want to talk to you about the White area.
Okay.
That's an aquifer.
That is the City of Goodyear planning area that goes all the way down.
And there's an
in
aquifer
Cupsell.
down there.
But that's all from Pecos Road South is a groundwater subbasin and aquifer that has water in it.
I remember before I came on council and we annexed that area, part of that area, I was concerned then that there was not going to be enough water. And I was never convinced that anybody that develops down there is going to have the ability to provide the water, provide the sewer, to run all of the pipe, to have a wastewater plant. It's going to cost a tremendous amount of money. There is no tax revenue down there at all now. So I'm really hesitant about moving ahead. I do want to know what we have down there. I recall that I was told the Mobile area especially used to be orange groves years ago, and they dried up the aquifer with their farming, but this could have been in the 30s and 40s. I can't remember. Someone told me about it when I was actually with some of the people that lived down there that had been there for 15 or 20 years. And they recall that and were sharing it with me. And then I understood now the aquifer has replenished itself because they stopped farming because they ran out of water. And so they're able to do some farming, but I don't know how much. And I don't know if the farming that's done is part of the 57,000 acre feet that is spoken for, or if they're
it is
just
not.
draining it out of the aquifer.
That was not in the report we received. It didn't take
So
any
you don't know.
agriculture into play, and I don't recall if there is any current agriculture down there.
Yeah, there used to be. I don't think there is now. There is closer as you go into Maricopa, across the street and down a little bit. They've got water to there, but they don't have anything up around the Mobile area at all. Nothing. Dirt. And I'm just really concerned. Number one, I do want, if we are going to provide water to our residents, I want to be the owner of the water company. I want to be able to have the ability to give them water, to handle their complaints. I don't want to go through what we've been going through with Liberty, because we aren't getting the service we think we should get from Liberty. And I just am really concerned that water is so precious, and we really have to know how we're going to grow that area, what areas we're actually going to grow, and no leapfrogging, because we just can't afford to do that. So I'm anxious that we get more information on this, and we really can't make a decision one way or the other on it. I've not been approached by anyone that they're going to develop any more down there, so I don't know anything about that. However, I am concerned that if we don't have to, we have to give them 100 years. And if we can do that, then it would be okay. But if we can't give them the 100 years, I don't want to do it. That's just my opinion.
Thank you.
So thank you.
Councilmember Stipp?
Councilmember Campbell, I didn't catch what you just, if you can't do what?
I said, if we can't guarantee a 100-year water supply, I don't want to do it.
Okay, I didn't hear it. That's,
Oh, I'm sorry.
no, that's all
Isn't
right.
that what I said, Barb?
Yes.
That's what I thought I said. Okay. All right.
It's certainly not your, now the volume is up. I did not hear it
Okay,
prior
sorry.
to that.
Okay.
So thank you for
You're welcome.
clarifying that. You know, it wasn't until the vice mayor mentioned you not being in the room, which kind of reminded me of this conversation, of why we need to have it. I don't think in at any moment the discussion about the Mobile area, the Amaranth, or whatever they're going to call it now, down there it seems to make some sense because it's completely disconnected, that perhaps we'd find a way to perhaps start as a private provider and then eventually turn that into a city asset. I think there's ways for us to look at that. The concern that I have is perhaps some private providers have water that we don't, and that may be a way forward, but that would be something that's a little bit closer. The area that Arizona Water Company serves a couple of our customers, do they not, north of I-10?
Yeah, it's a small piece. I don't know if you can see here on the map. The orange is Arizona Water Company. This is the area here in that corner that they serve that's part of our city.
And sometimes there's a development that is very close to either them or EPCOR or another provider, that it may be advantageous for them to connect there as opposed to 5 miles of pipe before they get to a Goodyear connection. That's why I'm going to go back to what I said originally about sometimes it makes sense to connect to the private provider. and sometimes it doesn't. If in the case that it does go to a private provider, one of the stipulations that we need to add in the disclosures is you are part of a private provider, not the city of Goodyear, blah, 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 like we do for the Air Force Base, et cetera. But, looking at all of our challenges, I think we have to start looking and thinking holistically about water rather than, well, if you're between these roads, you're Goodyear Water, and we're not sharing outside of these walls. And the same thing with, say, Buckeye to the west. They're not coming in. There may be a good business reason for us to provide water to west of Perryville Road, for example, in the city of Buckeye. There may be a very valid business reason to do that, and perhaps we want to consider that. And then conversely, somewhere else down the road. So there is no one size fits all. And I think going forward, I would like to see kind of the pros and cons of private water versus public water, development specific, not generically. That there may be a reason to do it, and there may be a reason not to do it. And I'd like to see that compared and contrasted as we go forward. That, I think, really kind of solve our issue going forward rather than a blanket yes or no. So, thanks. And thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate the discussion. From my perspective, it's more than just water. If we go down to Emerald, you don't only need the piping and the infrastructure, but you're going to need fire stations, you're going to need police stations, you're going to need all of those things, which is going to strain, in my humble opinion, our resources. I think there's a possibility that you could have private, but at the same token, I'm not real pleased on what happens when we have multiple water companies within the city. We've had some issues. We've had some issues right now as a result of that. So you might start off as private, but from my perspective, the only way to make it whole is to make sure you got the 100-year water, and that's just my opinion, 100-year water supply, and the water is ours. But they would have to put in the infrastructure, they'd have to initially build it, and eventually it would come to us. Because I wouldn't want to see some of the same issues we've had recently when we have multiple water providers, because even if we do, and we put something within their deed or something whenever they develop that says, number one, you have who are they going to call when they have a problem? They're going to call us, right? We're going to get it anyway, when this thing happens, regardless of who owns the water, we're going to get in the middle of that, whether it's to the Corporation Commission or whatever. So I think it's a further discussion that we should have on this to make sure. But again, it's just, to me, it's not just the water, it's all the infrastructure that's got to be put in as this thing starts growing. And we don't want to extend ourselves too much because it gets very costly with the infrastructure. So that's my 2 cents worth. With that, I guess we've had to, I think, did you get enough information to
I think we have some good direction. Thank you.
got some good direction?
I appreciate everybody's time this evening. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. With that, excuse me, we have a regular meeting immediately following this work session, so there's no further business to discuss. This meeting adjourned. You can go ahead and start the video, please.
Coming up on November 7th, there will be a special election in Goodyear. The ballot will include 3 questions related to city bonds. Bonds are used to fund large projects. The bonds proposed on the ballot would be used to pay for key traffic improvements, public safety, and parks projects. Ready to learn more about the election? Visit goodyearaz.gov/bond election for more details, the latest information, and important election dates. Welcome to the Goodyear City Council meeting. We're excited to have you be a part of this important public process. Tonight, you will have the opportunity to address City Council on both non-agenda and agenda items. You must fill out a speaker request card in order to address the City Council. The agendas and speaker request cards are located in the back of the council chambers. Please drop your completed card in the tray next to the blank speaker cards. If the meeting has already begun, please hand it to the city employee at the back of the room. You may check the "I do not wish to speak" option on the card. This allows you to still voice your opinion on an item on the record without having to speak. In accordance with the Americans with Disabilities Act, please contact a staff member if you need any assistance. Public comment on a non-agenda item will take place during the citizen comment portion of the evening. These are items that don't appear on tonight's formal agenda. The city clerk will call your name when it's time for you to speak. At that time, please approach the podium and tell us your name for the record. You'll have a maximum of 3 minutes. The timer is on the screens visible from the podium. Note that you may also choose not to speak if other speakers before you have said what you wanted to say. Shouting, cheering, and loud noises will not be tolerated, and violators may be removed for disrupting the meeting. Goodyear City Council meetings stream live on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and online at goodyearaz.gov. Follow the city's social media pages so you don't miss out on all that's happening in Goodyear. Thank you for coming to this meeting and being an active part of your city. And remember, it's a great time to be in Goodyear.
I'd like to call the regular meeting to order for October 16th, 2023.
Everybody's here, Mayor.
Everybody here? Perfect. Would you please join Councilmember Campbell in the Pledge of Allegiance and invocation? Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Our Heavenly Father, as we gather here tonight, we ask your blessing over this meeting. May both sides be debated with patience, and may wise decision be made with the best outcomes achieved for our city and for our residents. The psalmists tell us to pray for the peace of Jerusalem. So we pray this evening for your chosen people, Israel, for their beloved city and for their land. Put a spiritual hedge of protection around all of them and keep Israel in your loving care. We pray too, Lord, for our first responders here in our city and our military here and abroad. May each of them be surrounded by your hedge of protection and kept safe. We ask these things in your name. Amen.
Thank you, Councilmember Campbell. Our first item is to approve appointments to the board and commissions and committees. Let's see. Can I get a motion and a second to reappoint members to the Arts and Culture Commissions, Self-Insurance Health Trust Board, Judicial Advisory Committee, Council Compensation Committee, and the Citizens Water Adventure Committee, and the Planning and Zoning Commission? I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Go ahead, Vice Mayor.
We have such a big group tonight, and it's really particularly interesting that the new Water Advisory Board was here to hear the conversation about water, so it's certainly very timely. But I just want to thank all of our citizen volunteers who step up. I know many of you were on the General Plan Committee, and you're continuing on with your service, and it's just greatly appreciated. The work you do matters, and we appreciate your commitment to the city of Goodyear.
Thank you. Anything else? You're going to do what's city clerk?
Did you want a presentation or just go ahead and open the vote?
Go ahead and open the vote. Passes 7-0. With that, you're up. Well, she's getting ready again. I want to echo what the Vice Mayor said. I appreciate you stepping up and giving your time to the city. That's one thing we never seem to have a shortage of, is our citizens stepping up and helping. So again, I want to thank you all for doing that.
Since it's a pretty large group, I'm going to go ahead and split it up. So Nancy Love, would you please come forward? Wade Foster, Jenny Boyle, Robert Jones, Paul Goya, Kelly Kessler, Jeremiah Smith. And these folks, go ahead and come on up right here. And these folks are actually going to be representing the Arts and Culture Commission, the Self-Insured Healthcare Trust Board, Judicial Advisory Committee, Council Compensation Committee, and Planning and Zoning. If you want to go ahead and just line up here, and I'll go ahead and administer the oath. Trying to stay within. No, we're not. I'll move over. So go ahead and raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona. That I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And that I will faithfully and impartially discharge the duties of Commissioner according to the best of my ability. So I do affirm. Thank you very much and congratulations.
Let's give him a hand.
You have your oath, I'll go ahead and take it. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. First order of business.
So one more committee, so it's gonna be the folks for the Citizens Water Advisory Committees, because all of the people are here tonight. So Lynette Keating, Elena Ross, Tracy Rand, Greg Brown, Robert Shirley, Sherry Track, Chad Gallegos, Teresa Kula, and Rody Prasad. If I did not call your name and you're on the Water Advisory Commission, that means I probably messed it up. I apologize. If you go ahead and line up through here. All right, so I'm going to administer the oath. So please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name. I, Robert Shirley, do solemnly affirm. That I will support the Constitution of the United States. And the Constitution and laws. Of the state of Arizona. That I will bear true faith and allegiance. To the same. And defend them against all enemies. Foreign and domestic. And that I will faithfully and impartially. Discharge the duties of committee member according to the best of my ability. So I do affirm. Congratulations and thank you very much.
Well, she's making her way back up. Does anybody want to add anything to, other than welcoming them aboard? We good? We good? All right. Well, thank you. Now is the time for citizens who would like to address the city council on any non-agenda item within the jurisdiction of the city of Goodyear. Do we have anything, clerk?
Yes, Mayor, we do.
Okay.
Kathy Roan.
Come on up. If you would, the council can listen to the comments and may take one of the following actions. Respond to criticism, request staff investigate and report on the matter.
Actually, I'll come get you.
Whoops, you got it? Request that the matter be scheduled on a future agenda. They mentioned earlier you've got 3 minutes. I'll let you know when you get closer. If you would, just tell us whether you're a Goodyear resident.
Hi, my name is Kathy Roan. I'm a resident of the city of Goodyear.
Okay.
And I'd like to thank the mayor, the vice mayor, and the city council members and staff for providing this opportunity. I think we can all agree that there is some areas in the city that require attention, especially when it comes to roadway bicycle improvements. As we are all acutely aware, the city of growing is at an exponential rate. Our growth reflects the second fastest in the state and the ninth in the nation. With over 200,000 residents expected within the next 30 years, this growth undoubtedly will bring about some growing pains. Tonight, I'd like to address those surrounding bicycle accidents. Most of these accidents involve vehicles, and when they do occur, severe and even fatal injuries are the consequence. In fact, roughly 2% of all motor vehicle deaths are cyclists. In the case of the Cotton Lane Bridge accident, the Daily Independent cites our growth as a contributing factor. It also may be alarming to note that Arizona ranks as the 9th most dangerous state for cyclists. One of the ways these accidents can be avoided is through the construction of separated or protected bicycle tracks. These are not the typical bicycle tracks that we currently have, but if you will, they're kind of souped up versions of them. There are a variety of ways to separate the bicycles from the vehicles. This may include placing them adjacent to parking lanes, in raised medians, in separate pathways, and also with bollards. Two of the options related to bollards are displayed on the packet that I provided. These devices provide a barrier and can be either permanent in nature, flexible, attached to curbs, separated by barriers, etc. These are the same types of devices installed in other roadway surfaces. According to the National Association of City Transportation Officials, there are 11 cities in the country who've already taken such measures to protect cyclists. They include cities like Boulder, Colorado, Washington, D.C., Chicago, New York, Portland. I think we can consider possibly joining their ranks. So I'd like to entertain any questions that you may have on the topic of this suggestion with regards to installing some kind of roadway protection for our cyclists.
I think we just got it, so give us a chance to digest it. In the meantime, I'm going to pass it over to the city manager here. Can you grab her information? And
I will route this to our streets department with our city engineer. Thank you so much.
let me ask the city manager, our transportation master plan is involving some of this?
Yes, it has the bike lanes and
So
all of that
which
included. So
one
that is
is
Steve
over
sent
that?
out.
Is that you,
That's
Justin?
who I'm passing this off to.
Okay, all right, we will do that. And I thank you for coming up.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And that's it, Mayor.
Ready?
It's just the one.
Okay. Will the city clerk please read the consent agenda items 2 through 10 by title only, please?
Number 2, approval of minutes. Number 3, approve the 2024 council meeting calendar. Number 4, approve a new Series 12 restaurant liquor license for Oregano's Pizza Bistro located at 15280 West McDowell Road. Number 5, authorize the expenditure of construction funds for Loma Linda Pool Improvement, Capital Improvement Project 50050. Number 6, authorize the acceptance and execution of 2 special warranty deeds for Citrus Road improvements for the Able Ranch development. Number 7, approve budget amendments. Number 8, approve budget amendments and authorize expenditure of funds to replace fire apparatus pumper units 993, 994, and 995. Number 9, adopt resolution number 2023-2357, authorizing the mayor to execute an intergovernmental agreement with the town of Guadalupe for judicial services for cases filed prior to July 1st, 2020. And number 10, authorize the city manager or designee to execute the amended and restated intergovernmental agreement with the city of Avondale for participation in the Human Trafficking Task Force.
Thank you. Does anyone on the council wish to remove an item from the consent agenda? I see Wally's got something up there. You got a question or you want to remove it?
I've got a question for number 9. Crystal? I'm assuming this is a continuation of an IGA we already have.
Councilmember Campbell, that is correct. It's a renewal.
All right, and since we have not had a judge for some time, were we able to still hear their cases?
That's correct. At all times, we've remained processing all of our matters.
Okay, so we're not behind in anything with them.
Not at all.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see, can I get a motion? I don't see anything else up there. Can I get a motion and a second to approve items 2 through 10? I got a motion and a second. Can you open up the voting, please? Passes 7-0. Okay, on the business, I would like to remind council to wait for a motion a second before discussing anything here on the business. First item in business, consider adopting a land use assumptions and infrastructure improvement plan. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Thank you, Mayor, members of the council. I'm Jared Askelson. I'm the Deputy Finance Director here with the City of Goodyear. Tonight, we're taking our second council item, first action on the update of our impact fees, and that will be the adoption of the land use assumptions and infrastructure improvement plan reports that we had a public hearing on back on September 11th. At that time, we showed many comparisons. In front of you is a slide from that night showing a 3% increase in the south area for single-family residential permits, a 2% increase in the north. Major changes from our 2018 study. First, the fire service area map, we're having a single citywide fee. Previously, we had a north and a south zone, so now we will have a single citywide fee. The streets fee will be offset entirely with construction sales tax per state statute. And finally, with the wastewater and water fees, we will charge based on meter size up to 1.5 inches, and then every item over 1.5 inches will be used. We use estimated actual water usage instead of a calculation using the meter size. One revision that we made to the reports had to do with the utility map itself. This section of our wastewater service area, we had shown that as being within the city's wastewater service area. That is actually in Liberty Water's wastewater service area. So we will not be collecting fees there. It does not impact anything else in the reports. Another update, another revision that we've made to be in line with the schedule, council schedule that was adopted during the consent agenda. We're moving up the notice of intention to change the rates. We're actually doing that with this resolution tonight. We also have placed that on our website. We will be doing the public hearing on the fee adoption on November 27th, moving that up a couple of weeks. And then the adoption of the fees will be on the 18th instead of the 15th of January. The effective date of the fees will remain the same. We did a lot of work with our stakeholders, and we have communicated about the April 1st effective date for the fees, and we're not looking to change that, just aligning the rest of the schedule with the recently adopted council schedule. And with that, I'll turn it back over to council.
Thank you. Are there any speaker cards? No, ma'am. Anybody in the audience like to speak on this? Seeing none, will the city clerk plead resolution 2023-2324 by title only?
Adopt resolution number 2023-2324, adopting the land use assumptions and infrastructure improvements plan, IIP, providing for correction, severability, and an effective date.
Thank you. Will the council enter a motion and a second to adopt resolution 2023-2324? I see a motion and a second. Let's open it up for discussion. Councilmember Hampton?
So I just a process question. So you said the notice of intention is today, the public hearing will be November 27th, and there'll still be time if for some reason you guys find something out, you need to change something, because the final adoption isn't until January 8th. Is that correct? Not that we plan on changing anything. I'm just curious.
Yeah, Councilmember Hampton, absolutely. If something comes up on the fee adoption on the 27th when we're doing a public hearing, we could make an adjustment to the fees themselves. What we won't be able to do is adopt a fee higher than what is in the land use assumptions and infrastructure improvement plans that we are adopting tonight. We could go down from that amount if we needed to.
Thank you.
Councilmember Stipp?
Jared, I just want to express my appreciation to you and the entire staff for this process. When we started this, I'll say way back when, so it seems, there was a lot of angst in the development community about our plan, about how we were going to go forward. But you and the staff really worked very closely with the development community to really fine tune and get a product that is both advantageous to our residents today and the future residents, in addition to those that are looking to make significant capital investments in the community. And I just want to say how much I appreciate that. I'm sure everybody does, but oftentimes we forget to just say thank you for a job well done. So thanks.
Thank you there, Councilmember Stipp. With that, I see nothing else. Can we open up for vote? Passes 7-0. Thank you. Last item on business is to consider approving an employment agreement for the new presiding municipal judge. Please introduce yourself to the public.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Lyman Lockett, Human Resources Director. Tonight, I'm here to bring forward a recommendation to approve an employment agreement for a presiding judge. Following an extensive recruitment process that included an in-depth assessment process with our Judicial Advisory Committee, interviews with internal stakeholders, a meet and greet with department staff, and 2 interviews with council, Manuel Delgado Jr. has emerged as our prevailing candidate. It is with great pleasure that I present his employment agreement tonight for approval. The terms of agreement include a base salary of $225,000 annually, deferred compensation of 5% of base. The compensation is in line with benchmark data for presiding judges, and the contract is effective October 23rd, 2023. With that, I will turn things over to council.
Just for anybody who is watching this, and we do have a motion in a second, this was all given direction to the to the director here in front of us, Lyman. So this is nothing new to us that we're looking at right now as we were moving forward. So with that, is there anybody, let's see, do I have a motion? And a second. Okay. With that, let's open up for discussion, and I got Councilmember Stipp up first.
I get to be the first one to congratulate the judge. But also to thank our Judicial Review Committee. To say this was a long and arduous process would be an understatement.
I think I will agree on that one.
A lot of, however, as with anything that's painful, there's also a huge benefit, but also a great deal of learning took place. So appreciate your patience, with us as we go through it. But Judge, we're excited to have you. We're excited to welcome you to the city. Look forward to holding you accountable for all of the things that you said you were going to get done, because that's, at least I will for the next year. Anyway, welcome aboard, and Lyman, thank you and your staff for all the work.
Councilmember Loretano?
I always get that backwards on. I want to thank Lyman, thank you very much, and our committee that is here and present, thank you. It's a little hard to see because the lights are like blaring, so I can't really see, and I would like to welcome and thank the judge for taking the time to apply. And I want to thank everyone else who's not here, who's a candidate, and all the nice, qualified, wonderful jurists that applied and were interested in our city. So I do appreciate all that. We wish you the best, and we know you will be a success here. You've got a good team to work with. And just let us know how we can help you do your job better. So welcome to our Goodyear family.
Councilmember Hampton?
Yeah, once again, welcome to the city of Goodyear. We're excited to have you, and thank you also to the committee who helped us sort and get to where we were today. So, looking forward to having you with our city, and I know our residents will be pleased as well. So, your success is our success. So, really looking forward to having you, and thank you for joining the team Goodyear. Thank you.
Councilmember Gillis?
Judge Delgado, thank you very much. I'm going to say, normally if everybody else is thanking everybody, I don't say anything, but I'm going to say thank you to you because we all just thought you were really great. And we are really looking forward to having somebody great fill that position. So thank you very much for applying, and we look forward to seeing what you can do. Thank you.
Welcome aboard, Judge. I can tell you right now, you got an excellent team to work with, okay? I pride myself, and we all do pride ourselves on the quality of staff that you have here at the City of Goodyear. So you're going to have a great team to work with. And with that, since we have a motion and a second, can we open it up for a vote? Passes 7-0. Welcome aboard, Judge. Judge, you want to come up and say anything?
Sure.
Come on up.
Why not? I didn't write anything up. No, I want to sincerely thank you all. I understand the significance of this appointment. I'm not taking it lightly. It's something that I'm going to jump into and give it my best effort. I can guarantee you that anybody that walks in that courtroom is going to be treated with dignity and respect. So I intend to follow through on everything I told you I would do. If I can't do it, I'm sure you'll be there to support me, so make sure that we can do it somehow or another. I want to thank my family. I got a whole entourage here today. They're here and supporting me. Oh, this is my wife of 40 years almost, Jan. Hi, Jan. This is my father over here, Manuel. His spouse, Gloria. My best buddy, Fred. My father-in-law, Ron. Nix. My grandson, Ezekiel. My mother-in-law, Mary. My granddaughter, Sophia. My Aunt Terry, who happened to be here. And I see Pep Guzman's in the back there. And I see my high school supporter, teacher. I don't know how you got here, but you're here. Thank you for showing up. My son's in the back, Alexis. And then we've got my daughter-in-law, Valerie. And then the little one, Sebastian.
All right. That's awesome.
So I'm sure they just want to go eat at this point.
On you, of course.
On me.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you
again,
for the opportunity.
You've got a great staff.
And this is a familiar face. I had no idea this was the city clerk, but I also know you.
You have to be close enough.
Okay.
So, here we go. We've got it raised already. I state your name.
I, Manny Delgado,
Do solemnly affirm
do solemnly affirm
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona.
and the Constitution and laws of the state of Arizona.
I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same
and defend them against all enemies,
And
foreign and domestic.
and defend them against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
And I will faithfully and impartially
And I will faithfully and impartially
discharge the duties of municipal judge
discharge the duties of municipal judge
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So I do affirm.
So I do affirm, so help me God.
Does council have any comments, commendations, reports, and current events? No? Quiet group tonight. How about the city manager?
I do, Mayor. The Arizona Fall League triple header happened on Saturday, and I heard the mayor threw out the first pitch. Did not bounce it as I bounced it.
Hit the door, but did not bounce
Yeah,
it.
no bounce. But total attendance was 1,411. Attendance was less than anticipated, but MLB was very pleased with the turnout for this first event.
Good.
All 6 Fall League teams featured top prospects from all 30 major league teams, which made it for an exciting day at the ballpark. And feedback from fans was positive, and many stayed for all 3 games. That's it.
Thank you. Oh, you have a question? Go ahead.
Did you have any data on the BMX event, the 3-day event that happened in Goodyear?
I will get that for you.
Okay.
I
Thank
would
you.
like to say I went.
Yeah,
I couldn't get in
Oh, you did?
because it was so crowded, and yeah,
I went in well. There had to have been, I mean, a couple thousand people.
oh, easy.
Over, I mean, probably more so, staying in hotels, staying, eating, and yeah, there's a lot of people there, a lot of booths, a lot of vendors. So great, really great event. So
Great, we'll get you some
I was
information.
curious on the data. If my cognitive looking around was the numbers were the same as what they actually were real. So thank you.
All right.
So what I had heard that you were actually on the track. That's no truth to that, Wally?
I want,
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
Okay, just checking.
I want to be. I want to be.
Yeah. Well,
I'm
you
going to take the
would.
kids on Wednesdays.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's probably something that your kids probably want to do there, Brandon, you know?
I'm taking them Wednesday.
All right. Well, future meetings, we have a retreat on Thursday, October 19th at 8:30. And then we have a work session on Monday, October 23rd at 5 p.m. No further business. Meeting's adjourned.